Hi, I'm Corey CJ, and in today's class, I'm going to be talking about, was the Brothers' War worth it? So I'm going to start off by giving a brief explanation of the Brothers' War in general for the people that watch this that are trying to get into Magic, that don't know because it's too much for them to start. And I'm actually going to give a part of the video where I explain, is this a set good for newcomers? So the reason the Brothers' War is such a big story when it comes to Magic the Gathering is because it was originally a book that came out in 1998 about two brothers finding a big stone that breaks off into two, one being the Might Stone and one being the Weak Stone, and the two brothers wanted it and they were fighting over it, and it started I think, just from the top of my head, a 60-year war, but it could be one of those things that it could also be 6,000-year war when it comes to Magic the Gathering. So we had on one side the older brother Urza, who was kind of like a really smart scientist person that had like fame and fortune and big massive houses and a wife that he didn't really care for and giant robots that he built, and he had the Might Stone. And then there was his brother Mishra, who got the horrible end, who ended up working in a factory in a swamp, being controlled and turned Phyrexian by evil creatures from other worlds and stuff, because both of them together was holding a guy called Gix, and then he ends up being this giant massive dragon with him popping out the head like a Yu-Gi-Oh style type of thing. So yeah, a lot happened, and it was a huge, and I think one of the first stories that grabbed a lot of people and made a lot of people fall in love with Magic the Gathering. But it's one of those things, why is it important in 2022? And that's because they made a set. So during the set, there's going to be big, massive machines. We're going to find out more what happens throughout the war. Like, there's going to be characters that have been throughout Magic the Gathering, and we actually get to see where they originated from. Urza's been known, but not much has been known about Urza himself. And I think there's 4 cards of him and 4 cards of Mishra. So a lot has happened, and a lot of people love the Brothers' War, and a lot of people were so excited for this set when it was coming out. When it comes to the set, I'm going to be describing what actually came out of it, and there is 4 sections that a lot of stuff came out in this set. Now you're probably thinking, no, it's a set, there's only one big thing. If you actually look into it, it's actually broken down into 4 sections, and you could also be a snob and break some of the sections into other sections, but overall there's 4. So when it comes to the sections, I will be talking about each one briefly and breaking it down. So it is the base set, the artifacts, the transformer cards, and then the 2 commander decks. Now I know people will probably be like, no, the commander decks are separate. However, it came out as a whole, it was just bought separately. The first section I'll be talking about is the base set, and this is the set that is the story. However, the story is 2 stories at once is very confusing, especially if you are a new player, because it is a story about the war that happened thousands of years ago, but it also continues the story we are currently at. I will give a brief explanation of what's happening in the story to kind of help people understand what I am when I'm talking about the cards. So there is a planeswalker called Teferi who's trying to find a way to stop the Phyrexians from taking over everything, realistically, and then the only way he can think of doing it is his old master Urza, kind of to stop the war, put everything into an ice age by a soup bowl called the Sylex. So that's where the story is at. It's currently him going back through time as a ghost to find out what happened, or to how to activate the Sylex or the soup bowl to turn it into an ice age, because turning everything into an ice age is better than Phyrexian taking over everything. So when it comes to this set, there is cards explaining what is happening currently, which is Phyrexians trying to take over where the time machine is and other planeswalkers protecting him. And then there is the other story of what is happening of Teferi seeing what's happening during the war. So when it comes to this, you get cards of both sides. So you get like the big massive machines, you get cards of Urza, you get cards of Mishra. And then on the other side, you get Teferi as a card, you get Saheeli as a card, you get the time machine itself as a card. So like, it's like 80% of one and 20% of the other, when it comes to the cards themselves. And it's also one of those things that the Spotlight cards, which are cards based on the story, is the most they've ever had at a whopping 40 of these, I think, just from the top of my head. When it comes to the main set itself, is it worth it? Personally, I do not think so. But the main example of that is that the other parts overshadow this. There is a lot of cool cards. There's a new keyword called Prototype, which I find really good. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of it. But realistically, other than getting the Urza, the Mishra cards, the Planeswalkers, and the meld cards, which is if you get two cards, they meet a certain circumstance, they meld into one big card. A lot of the cards are going unnoticed, especially even a lot of the rares, which is a rare thing. I know a lot of people when a set comes out completely ignore the commons and uncommons because they have majority of them, or they have cards that do similar. However, there's like 4 sketch arts, one of Urza, one of Mishra, and then the 2 Planeswalkers. But then the rest are like, not many people other than a handful of cards care about the rest. And then when it comes to the story, not even many of the story cards people want. I've seen a few for the Time Machine itself, the Temporal Anchor, and then I've seen a few people want one with the Multiverse. But other than that, I think most people only want maybe 20 to 40% of the base set itself. Because when it comes to buying the set as a whole, most people are excited for the second or third section. So I'm just going to go straight on to them because the base section was just overshadowed by everything else that came out. The second section I'll be talking about is the main thing that people have been wanting to see buy. It seems to be the most thing that people are grabbing. I've heard and I've seen online that people are actually getting more boxes, more set boxes, more draft packs, more gift bundles, and then more bundles than I've seen any other set when it comes to the last at least 2 years, just from the top of my head. And it's mainly due to these artifact cards. These artifact cards then come into 3 different sections, which I will be explaining now. The first section when it comes to the artifacts there are a large amount of reprints. A lot of cards that everyone has fallen in love with over the years are getting reprints, and it's dropping the price of a load of them. I am one of those people that are currently happy with that because I've wanted an Ashnod's Altar for a long time, and they were usually going for like 28, 30 quid whenever I wanted to buy one, and I'm getting 3 of them now for 30, so the price has dropped due to this set. And there is also many other cards when it comes to this set that people are buying because the reprints of the cards are really good. So when it comes to the artifacts, they are reprints of classic artifacts throughout Magic's history, or most card collectors want and use that are very well played. However, they are now in a old border, which artifacts now have a silver border on them, so the card is silver. But years ago, when Magic was first started out, they were in like this horrible brown looking color. And now, for some strange reason, they're like, we're going to up the price. People want these, but not... most people don't like that I've seen online, like the old border. So I don't know why Wizards is going with that. The second selection when it comes to these artifacts is the reprints in all borders, but now in a new art, which I absolutely love. And it's called sketch art, or what I've been calling sketchbook art. So it kind of looks like Urza or Mishra or whoever built these had like a book where they drew what it was made out of and how it was made and stuff. So every single artifact that has got reprinted with the old border also got a sketch version, which is higher in the price of them ones, and a lot of people are wanting to grab them. So even if they do open, for example, I'll just say an Ashnod's Altar, they're kind of like, oh, I opened it, but it's not the sketch art though. And then the third part, which is probably the most mind-blowing part of this set, is that they're doing it in a rainbow foil, and I think each one got 500 reprints in the rainbow foil. But the prices of these are absolutely mind-blowing. So example, just from the top of my head, my first ever mythic I ever opened was a Mox Amber. Yes, I started on Dominaria, but this one got a reprint of it in the old border. It got a reprint of it in a sketchbook old border. And now there's the old border rainbow version. There's only 500 of them. And the price difference is, from the top of my head, it's like 35 like 60 to 85, and then 1,200 for the rainbow version of it. Now, that's where most of the money comes when it comes to this set, but they are extremely rare. But this is kind of the main cash grab of this set so far, and I think they should have rather done not 3 versions of the artifacts, in my opinion. I think they should have just done the sketch and the rainbow, or just the normal old border and the sketch, not 3 versions. The third section when it comes to what is in this set are the new Transformer cards, and these come in 2 versions of their own. So every Transformer card is double-sided, and it shows their like human form and then their vehicle form on the other side. And then there's 2 versions of them where you have the kind of old cartoons that are in the 2D art, which is personally my favorite. And then you get the kind of 3D newer versions in a purple kind of border where it looks like someone like shot a hole through it and stuff. And they are both double-sided. The 2D older ones are getting a lot more reprints and are easier to get than the 3D purple border ones. However, this is one of those things where it's, from my research of this online, it's kind of like Marmite, where it's, if you love Transformers or even like Transformers and you open either of these, you're happy, you're over the moon. People are posting it online being like, I got this, I got that, I love this character. I've seen like I hate your deck, and other people making content where they all just have a Transformer commander. However, on the other side of that are people that are like, I didn't grow up with Transformers. I don't like Transformers. I really don't care if I get this. And the downside of that is some of these are actually kind of a good amount of money each. But it's one of those things that if you really don't care about Transformers at all, there's going to be a lot of players out there that are just going to have like a bundle of these because they bought a lot of boxes for the artifacts, and then just have a pile of Transformer cards that they're just going to put in their bulk stuff, and it's never going to be seen. But there's going to be like people that absolutely love Transformers that will play double or triple the price, that are just going to find it somewhat hard, especially the collectors. If people absolutely love Transformers and they want to be the collector of the Transformers and get all of them in both versions or both of them in foil, it's going to be extremely hard because people that don't care about Transformers are going to have them, and they're just going to forget about them and throw them in their like boxes of bulk rares. And then the fourth section of this is the 2 decks. Now the 2 decks are pretty generic. They do what they do when it comes to any other set. You have a Mishra deck and you have a Urza deck, and they are all border cards with a handful, I think 5, of cards that you can only get in the deck in each deck. And they play somewhat well. I haven't seen anyone play them, but by looking at the deck list and my years of playing this game, I'm like, this is somewhat of a good deck. The biggest problem I've seen with this, and that's just because I follow a lot of groups that talk about this stuff, is the disability community when it comes to Magic the Gathering, because there's people with dyslexia that can barely read these cards because every single card in the decks come in all border. There's people that are visually impaired, people with like autism, ADHD that are just finding the old border too messy, where it was nice and neat with how they normally print cards now. So it's just kind of those things that I've seen the disability community in Magic kind of hate this deck. So it's one of those things where if anyone in Wizards ever watched this, please make a version when you do this again of just the normal cards. Or if you are making decks, kind of, I don't know, get a disability fairness one would be very nice, because some of the groups I'm in and stuff, people are refusing to buy them because they don't want to have a deck or have a base of a deck, and they're just like, I can barely read this, even though the cards are already getting reprinted, because you get the normal version of like 80-90% of the deck in the set itself. So a lot of people are buying draft boxes and set boxes and just remake the deck, or majority of the deck themselves, with the loss of the 5 cards in the commander. But it's not really a big deal there. So what are my thoughts of this set entirely? It's the best set of the year. Hands down, it is the best set of the year. And I know that's kind of saying that because the D&D Baldur's Gate one was absolutely amazing. The Kamigawa one had really good cards in it, and especially the dragons and the story with the planeswalkers with Jin coming back. Streets of New Capenna was okay. Again, the story was good, but the cards were just kind of generically okay. And then Dominaria United was just like, hi, bye, and it helped the story a bit, but the cards themselves were not the best. So, out of the entire sets, including the subsets of the year, this is where I see most people throwing their money in. So if it's one of those things where someone is saying, I'm going to spend X amount of money on Magic this year, this would be the set that most people will put the largest amount of money towards. The main reason being is the artifacts, because they are kind of worth the money, or they're getting so many reprints because so many people are buying them and wanting them that the prices are lowering, which is also a good thing. There's also the chance to definitely get your money back. The only other set this year that did it was only with one card, and that was a big Demon Orc from Kamigawa. But even then, the chance of getting that was very rare, where now there's multiple. That you get less money, but a higher chance because there's more of them. The decks, I heard, are good when you actually get to play them. It's just reading them and stuff, which is the difficult part. So yeah, this is the best set when it comes to the money this year. However, they do need to kind of, again, everyone I know that plays Magic has been saying this, lower everything. Rather do the Transformers or the artifacts, not both. The base set is fine. So is this set worth buying? Yes. It is, again, best set of the year. Artifacts, great. Transformers cards, great. The base of it, not so much. However, I do find this set is probably the best set of the year also to get Commanders. Kind of equal when it comes to the D&D set as well, because there is a lot more versions of Commanders. However, I'm finding the Commanders of this set more playable and more usable, and more ways to build a deck, multiple versions of it, instead of just kind of a linear, I have to do this. The worst thing when it comes to this set is two things. One, it is definitely 100% not beginner friendly. However, they are doing a thing soon at the start of December where you get starter commander decks. So if you are new, I say have a look at those if you're interested there. But the set as a whole, the story is kind of like in the middle of nowhere. It's from a book years ago, so if you're a new player, you have no clue. There's also two stories going at once, which is also the one with Teferi and the Urza's Tower and stuff, is the start of a huge thing that will be happening from the start, or technically now, all the way until the end of summer. So this is one of those things where it's, if you are a new player, you're kind of caught in the middle of this big, massive story arc, and you're kind of going to be lost, which will turn a lot of people off. The second thing is that there's too many cards coming out, variations. I can picture a load of new players opening cards, not really understanding how they work, getting like a Mox Amber or a Aetherflux Reservoir and being like, these cards are shite, even though they're very powerful, and then just not really understanding what the cards do. It seems to be too much to put on a new player. The second thing is the old border stuff. The old border stuff in the deck is very difficult for people with any form of learning difficulty or visual difficulty to learn and play Magic the Gathering. So I think that's also, if they were to do it, they should have been like, here is a silver border one too with easier legible writing. But that's just my opinion. So if you are watching this video and you want to get into Magic but you don't want to wait, I recommend any of the M sets. So for example, M19 and M20 would be a good set. Or try and find a group or a person that plays Magic that knows a lot about what's currently going on to help you kind of ease into Magic itself. But as always, these are my thoughts and opinions, and if you don't agree, please comment down below. I like to have a discussion when it comes to these type of things. It's just how I thought this set went. I currently enjoy it. I'm currently waiting for my gift bundle and hopefully make an unboxing of that soon. But as always, like, subscribe, follow me on all my social media, and I will see you in the next video.